It's 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. You're sitting in the living room, the kind of hour where the world feels like it's been put on hold. The only light comes from the television, a soft, rhythmic flickering of blue and gray that washes over the furniture like a tide. You aren't really watching anything. It's just the hum, that low-frequency buzz of an old screen that feels protective. It shields you from the oppressive silence of the house. There's something called the Broadcasting Transition Protocol. It's a dry, forgotten procedure from the late Cold War era, something buried in FCC manuals that most engineers never had to trigger. It was designed for a specific kind of end. I didn't think much of it when the colors on my screen started to drain, turning the late-night sitcom into a vibrating, monochromatic smear of gray. It felt like a technical glitch. Just a moment of dead air before the world came back. But the world didn't come back. The static started to itch. It was a physical sensation on my skin, like 1,000 tiny needles made of electricity. Then the tone hit. We all know the emergency alert system sound, that abrasive, dual-frequency buzz. But this was different. It was 3 pitches higher, a piercing, oscillating drone that didn't just hit my ears, it vibrated in my teeth. I watched the glass of water on the coffee table. The surface didn't just ripple. It formed perfect, concentric circles. Then the text began to scroll. It wasn't about weather or civil unrest. It read, "Citizen identification required. Flashes ensure your vital signs are audible to the receiver." I laughed, a short, nervous sound that died instantly when the next line appeared. It listed my height, my eye color, and then my resting heart rate, 84 beats per minute. It was reading me. The television wasn't broadcasting to 1,000,000 homes anymore. It was talking to a room of one. The screen shifted to a deep, bruised violet, and a single prompt appeared in the center of the frame. It asked, "Are you breathing?" There were no buttons to press, no way to answer. But I found myself nodding. I found myself making sure my breath was loud enough for the black plastic of the TV frame to hear. The violet light deepened, casting shadows that looked more like holes in the floor than reflections. A map of my house appeared on the screen, rendered in sharp, clinical lines. It looked like a blueprint, but it was wrong. There was a red dot in the hallway right where my family photos usually hung. A new command scrolled across the bottom. Mandatory roarviation. Enter the STAMI door located in your hallway. I stared at the screen. I've lived in this house for 6 years. There's no storage door in that hallway. I stood up, my legs feeling heavy, like I was walking through water. As I turned toward the hall, the air temperature dropped. It was a hollow, damp frost that smelled of wet concrete and old copper. I looked. Where the photo of my parents used to be, there was a door. A heavy, institutional gray steel door with a small wired glass window. It looked like it belonged in a bunker. From behind the steel, I could hear a muffled, rhythmic thumping, perfectly synchronized with the pulsing of my own heart. I reached for the handle, and that's when I heard it, a faint version of the EAS tone coming from inside the wall itself. The handle turned from the other side. I didn't pull, I was invited. I stepped through into a space that shouldn't exist, a corridor of raw concrete stretching into a distance I couldn't see. On either side were identical cubicles, each one lit by the same bruised violet glow I'd left behind. Inside each cubicle was a television, thousands of them, all displaying that same flickering static. The broadcast voice finally spoke, not through the speakers, but inside my head. It was clinical, detached, and utterly certain. It explained that the world outside had been liquidated. Reality was a messy, inefficient broadcast that was being canceled. This place, the static archive, was the only safe zone left for viable assets. I walked past the cubicles, hearing the whispers of people I couldn't see, all reciting their identification numbers like a prayer. I found my assigned unit. I sat down and looked at the screen. It didn't show the news. It showed a live feed of the back of my own head. There was no handle on the inside of the door. There was only the hum and the realization that I wasn't a viewer anymore. I was part of the logistics. I was a file being saved to a frequency that would never end. If you're still listening to this, I need you to understand something. The signal doesn't stop just because you turn off the screen. It's in the wiring now. It's in the static electricity on your skin. Check the time. It's probably later than you think. If you hear your own name whispered in the white noise of your fan tonight, do not answer. If you find a door in your home that you don't remember being there during the day, do not open it. It doesn't matter how loud the sirens get or how official the voice sounds. Once you acknowledge the transition, you've already been logged. The narrator you started this story with is gone. I'm just a recording now, a loop in the archive. But you're still a live signal. For now, look at the wall behind you. Is the shadow of your television growing? Is the air getting colder? The signal strength here is optimal. The subject is logged. Thank you for your cooperation. Transitioning to permanent frequency in 3, 2, 1.